like 2 minutes, so you still have time to escape. Good. So doors are closed safely, so you can escape. Welcome, everyone. Thanks a lot for joining my session. Hello, Dev Days. Is everyone enjoying these Dev Days? Yes, I can hear you. Yes, good. You're awake as well. I'm going to give you some numbers, some statistics. I'm an engineer by trade. I've been doing this for more than 20 years, so I love numbers, and I think you do as well. Some of those numbers are DrupalCamp England, 150 attendees, coming like from 600, I think it was 2018 or 2016, the peak. Just get that number, 600. Nowadays, 150, that was a couple of months ago. Grenoble in France, I was there 2 weeks ago. It's 200 people. Drupal Dev Days, 300 people, or very close. DrupalCon Chicago, 1,300. And we are coming from Austin in 2015, where we were 3,300. Some numbers as well, but that's kind of more personal. It's my second time speaking here. My first time was in Ghent, in Belgium in 2022. It's my third time delivering this session. Last one was 2 weeks ago in France, where I was doing this as a keynote, and in DrupalCamp England a couple of months ago. I'm doing a keynote as well about this session in Portugal, in Drupal Iberia. So if you have the opportunity, if you have the chance, join us in Drupal Iberia in Braga. It's a beautiful city, and the weather is as good as in here. I'm not talking about today. I don't know if Frederick is in the room, but I'm stealing your idea. Sorry. I normally ask a lot of questions. So I saw Frederick's idea is like, I'm going to ask just 3 simple questions. So I'm going to give you like a few seconds, a minute, and if you want to scan and you want to answer, again, super quick. It won't take you more than 10 seconds. Please do it, otherwise it's going to be a long session. Okay, 15 seconds more. Is anyone doing it? If not, yeah, good. 1. Yeah, good. I start to see some answers. Good. Good. I like this. Nice. 6 answers so far. Nice. I like it. 13. Good. Come on, a couple more. 16, 18. We are close to 20. If we get to 20, I will show you the results. And I'm doing this. I will show you in a second why. But if you want a Pantheon t-shirt, just show me your answer and come to the booth after this. 22, okay, I'm going to reveal the results. If I can. Okay, so, responses. Oops, sorry, I don't want to show this. Yeah, so, this is Dev Days. So I was expecting a huge volume of responses coming from, like, attendees has been mostly agencies, right? Because it's a technical conference, so it's kind of expected. Actually, 86% of you are coming from an agency or a consultancy. And 13% is end customer, which is a good number. I like it. We are talking about people, most people in between the 40s, 50s, 50 years old. I'm close to 50, 12%. Under 20, we don't have any. And between 20 and 30 years old, we have 21%. So, okay, good. "32 responses, thanks a lot. I will share these results in my LinkedIn. By the way, this is my LinkedIn. I didn't introduce myself. I'm passionate about open source. I've been doing this for more than 20-something years. I'm technical partner. I have two hats, as Dries was saying before as well. I also have two hats. My main hat is Pantheon as a technical partner manager. I work with a lot of agencies, like 90%, as you were saying before. But my other hat is as well as part of the board of the Drupal Association. I'm director at large, which means that I was elected to do this role, and it means that I have a huge, and I'm very humble to represent you at the board. If you have anything that you want to transmit to the board, you can also, as well, of course, talk to Dries or Dominique and myself. And I have to always say these disclaimers. I'm not talking I'm representing obviously my brands, Pantheon and the Drupal Association, but this session I'm just talking as my own opinions. And my past jobs are Akia for 6 years. I used to be developer relations as well in Pantheon. And again, as I was saying, I'm coming from a highly technical background as a technical architect at companies like Akia, the BBC, or Capgemini. If you want to connect with me, I love when I have a new connection. I managed to do one new connection at Dev Days today. If I get a new connection, I will give you the only Pantheon hat that I have left. So, the bubble. Has anyone heard about this concept, the bubble? I'm not going to show you another form. You can just show me your hands. Good. 3 people, 4, 5 people. Good. 6 people. So this kind of started, and I'm like this. I like to blog a lot, and I like to write a lot. This started when I was working for the Drupal Association around 3.5 years ago as an innovation manager. And the thought that I was having is that we are living in this bubble where we do a lot of things, and we talk about our technologies and how amazing is Drupal and everything. But it actually doesn't reach outside of that bubble. That's the gist. I'm gonna develop that concept, so bear with me. And I have to apologize because this is going to get a little bit dark, right? But I promise that if you stay until the end, I have some positive outcomes, and I have some thoughts on what things I think we can do. So let me talk again about some numbers. We have an example. We are an example, as a community. I don't think, given that we are all developers, this is a new concept, come for the code, and stay for the community. I think we should start talking about come for the community because this is so unique for us, right? We have more than 1,300,000 people at Drupal.org. This is like 2 months old, so it's probably a little bit more. But we are one of the biggest Drupal websites in the world. We have nearly 50,000 users in Git. More than 1,000 companies all over the world give some kind of Drupal services. And this number is very well known as well, that we power 1.5% of all the websites in the world. And especially on the top 10,000, Drupal is very appreciated, right? It's used by some of the biggest enterprise companies in the world. Some more numbers. DrupalCon North America, Chicago, last month, was 1,300 people. And we are coming from 3,000 people attending annually. I was saying at the beginning on Austin, 3,300. DrupalCon Europe has never been that popular as DrupalCon North America, but we managed to do until around 2,000 people. Now we are more around 1,000, 1,200, which are very similar numbers as in North America. And what you see on the right, by the way, is Faye taking the selfie in one of the board retreats. And me talking about actually this, about the Drupal bubble with Dries in Chicago a month ago. Asia, Singapore, Japan, They are drawing around 200 people. It's like a small DrupalCon like this one. And this is where I'm starting to get a little bit dark. Like, number of sponsors is not growing. That's for a start. And the big percentage of participants are coming from digital agencies or development shops. And that's kind of why I was asking before, where are you coming from? And instead of having just hands raised, I love that I capture that number because it was around 10%, which is, still is good. In DrupalCamp France, last 2 weeks ago, I think it was just 1 or 2 people. So it's a shame that I didn't have the idea to capture that. So thanks, Frederick, for that idea. And some numbers to finish with statistics. Like local camps like this one and the rest of Drupal camps, if you think about that, how many Drupal camps happen around the world? We're talking about 4,000 attendees, which are numbers way over the numbers that we attract on a single event, right? So Drupal camps are the bedrock for our community, and the service that they do is just amazing, right? They are a very developer-focused event. I wrote this for DrupalCamp England, and DrupalCamp France. I was talking about Drupal Dev Days, but still applies. Like, this is one of the biggest developer-focused events in the DrupalCamp ecosystem, right? And it's actually attracting attention at the Drupal board in how we can improve DrupalCons. Do you know this say? What is the noise? What noise does a tree that falls in an empty forest? I did it, right? And this is not an empty forest, but it's a very sad Drupal developer in an empty forest. A little bit more, maybe 4,000 Drupal developers on all the Drupal events across the world. So let me be more practical. Let me give you an example. And I'm going to ask you more questions so you don't fall asleep. How many of you were at the Drupal CMS launch in January 2 years ago, last year? Raise your hands, Drupal CMS launch. Yeah? Just a few, okay. Okay. That was a huge event. If you haven't heard about that, it was 65 celebration parties, more than that, in cities around the world, from Milan, Zaragoza, Delhi, Boston, India. We had a Zoom event with more than 700 people. And it's not just about the community, it's also about the speed of innovation. Excuse me. Because in just 8 months, when Dries proposed this Drupal CMS, this Starshot initiative, the amount of work that we did was amazing. We had like more than 300 unique contributors, more than 2,000 commits, and 14,000 organizations, more than that, were active on Drupal during the launch, right? However, just a small percentage of those were contributing, but let me get to that point. So amazing numbers, right? A lot of people, a lot of celebration, everyone happy. Do you know what happened the day after that party? Very graphic, right? And it's very sad, because that's actually the bubble that I'm talking about, right? We were all happy, we were all celebrating Drupal, but we had just one press release. Not the day after. I'm talking the weeks after. Very sad. So, what is the problem here? The problem is mainly that we have 96% of all contributions coming from just 200 companies, which is, again, very sad. We have a lot of organizations active at the ecosystem, but a very tiny number of those are actually contributing. And we have this same faces syndrome. How many new faces have you seen at this event? Show me your hands. Have you met someone new? Good. Okay, good. So normally, and this is amazing that we are attracting new people, normally what happens here is that we are just meeting the people that we have met for the last 10 or 15 years, right? I was showing the statistics before I was asking for, not for hands, but for people to sign the form. 76% of Drupal developers are in between the age of 30 and 49. I will check the numbers, but I guess we are all on those numbers here. 60% of the community has more than 10 years of experience, which is amazing because it talks about the quality of what we do and the quality of our product. But at the same time, we have a huge problem with the junior talent. We are not attracting new people. And this is a huge problem because it's talking about our future. I think, just out of curiosity, how many new, less than 1 year Drupal developers do we have here? Good, 1. Less than 5 years? Good, okay. 3, 4, like, just 4 or 5 people have been working in Drupal less than 5 years. That's kind of proving the point. And this is a huge problem because new people, new guys and girls, they don't see Drupal as the innovative platform, but it actually is. They are more interested in Ruby and all those sexy technologies, but Drupal is actually very sexy. So what we see that what I was saying before, top enterprise companies use Drupal. We see that Drupal is a modern framework to build pretty much anything, any app. We see at Drupal as innovation, and we have pushed very hard in the last 3 years since the start shot to rebrand Drupal as a very innovative technology. But what people actually see outside of our bubble is that Drupal is a legacy CMS. And I will give you an example in a bit of what is actually happening when we go to those places outside of our bubble. And as I was saying before, no one is talking about us outside. I'm getting more and more dark. The attendance is down since 2000. I was showing the numbers, 3,000 people in Chicago, 600 developers. I was actually surprised that Drupal Camp England was attracting those number of developers back in 2015. And this is a very close to my heart because I used to live in London, and it used to be my local camp. And it's a big problem, right? It's a big problem because, for example, not just because we have less people coming to our technology, but because the Drupal Association relies as well on, for example, events like DrupalCons, especially DrupalCon in North America. And the number of sponsors is getting like low and low. At the moment, it's flat, or at least we are not increasing those numbers. And it makes total sense because if we come to these events, the return of investment, the ROI, for coming here is very hard to justify. Most of your companies are sending you here just to learn. And learn is good, but you are making a big investment. And if we want to attract other companies to come here, we need to make a compelling case that it makes sense to send your developers here, especially in a time where we all see what is happening out there. Recruitment used to be a reason. Some of the agencies, some of the development shops used to come here to show how amazing things they were working on and they were doing and what customers. This is not necessarily the case. Again, the market is very weird at the moment out there. And if you think that this is not necessarily a problem, not apart from getting hired or getting a new job, etc., I was talking about the Drupal Association. How many of you know what is the role of the Drupal Association? Yeah, 2, 3, okay. Do you know how it's funded, the infrastructure of the Drupal Association? Anyone knows where is the money to pay for the infrastructure? Very few people, and that's a problem as well that we discuss often at the board. So actually, if the Drupal Association disappears, Drupal.org disappears. So no Drupal updates, no Git commits, no nothing. So there's a huge responsibility on these 3 guys, on Fran, on B, and Neil, that are maintaining the whole infrastructure. So they are just keeping the lights on. And we got here because we are coming from a time where customers were calling us and recruiters were fighting for candidates. So we got very complacent, right? And I talked to a lot of partners because of my role at Pantheon. And I don't know if we lost that knowledge, but we actually never had it because we had such amazing technology that we got used to just wait for the phone to ring. And we were busy coding, and we had people calling us for our next project. And AI is shaking the market as well. So again, we forgot, or we actually never knew how to get new customers. Or actually, we never knew how to do good marketing. And we have the marketing initiatives. This mentioned before that we have Ryan at the Drupal Association working on marketing. We are doing a lot of things. It's not new. We've been doing, with people like Paul Johnson, a lot of work around marketing. But I don't think we are good at that. We are probably doing good material, but we are bad showing that material outside of the bubble. Again, we are not good at doing marketing. I want to emphasize this. So what is the problem? Many of you, like me, started in Drupal because it was a very easy way to build things, right? We used to call it site builder. I call it as well a low-code tool. Everyone was talking low-code 5, 6 years ago. Everyone got crazy about low-code before everyone got crazy now about AI, right? Drupal was really good at that, way before low-code was that popular. We had things like views and panels. We had some controversial decisions in moving towards an API-first CMS. But actually, that kind of started the new era of, it prepared Drupal to be the first or the most AI CMS in the world, right? We are here because of the decisions that we took in the past. And that's something that just spoke in Vienna, that it was kind of accidental, but that's where we are at the moment. And if you think about the technologies 25 years ago that we had when Drupal was born, do you remember Matrix, the movie? Do you remember the phone that was opening like this? That was amazing, right? Anyone is using a phone like that? And if you think about the technologies that we had those years, they have pretty much disappeared. Who sends faxes nowadays, right? And we are here, and Drupal is here, and we have evolved. Not just evolved, we have thrived. We have reinvented our technology. So I think you can agree with me that the technology is not the problem. And this is where I start to get less dark and more positive, because I want you to do something about this. What things are not working? So DrupalCon is great, and Drupal Dev Days, and Drupal Camp events, but let me focus on DrupalCon, because there are discussions on, okay, how do we solve the problem with the infrastructure at the Drupal Association, the infrastructure that we are using every day, and we are using a lot here, right? Doing commits, getting updates, etc. So it is great at what it does, which is sharing knowledge and attracting and getting all our community together, but it's not necessarily good at attracting customers. And we have tried that in the past. There are discussions on how we attract more. We have the summits, but they are not necessarily working. The feedback I'm hearing in North America is that we have roughly the same people that are in the rest of the DrupalCon during the rest of the week in the summit. So that's not good. We are trying to do a healthcare summit to bring companies from healthcare, right? So all the partners that we have here have a reason to go to the summit and make contacts with pharma companies or universities or companies that can attract money or resources, right? They can generate return of investment that I was talking before. Changing DrupalCon is going to be very difficult, and I don't even think that this is the path that we should be taking, because we actually risk making it worse. DrupalCon is great at what it's doing, the same way Drupal Dev Days is great at what it is doing. And again, we are facing that syndrome of same faces, not new talent coming, and very few customers. Very few customers. That's the most important problem. I promise I will get more positive, and I'm going to show you some ideas on how we can actually fix this. So if DrupalCon doesn't work for this purpose, or Drupal camps are just developer-focused, what do we do? So let's start visiting some events outside of our bubble. Maybe doing a summit around healthcare or a summit around higher education in DrupalCon doesn't work because it means that we need to try, or we need to have the power to attract those industries into our event. And we actually, if we had that power, we wouldn't have that problem because we will be able to reach those industries and actually offer them our services. So what makes us think that we are going to be able to attract those people to our event? So let's go to their events, right? And we are actually doing that at Pantheon. We are having some success, we are having some failures as well, but that's actually marketing. You need to try new things. What things we could do? Let's share resources. We have 2 or 3 agencies here, and that's unique to open source. We could get together and find an event, local event, for example, here in Greece, or local event in Spain or Greece, depending on your location or depending on your agency, right? And we could share resources, and I'm going to give you an example of something that we did. But what we need to start doing is we need to visit our customers where they are. We need to start growing the market, right? And we need to stop talking about Drupal. It's great talking about Drupal here, but what we really need to do is go to these events and talk about solutions. Because if you talk Drupal, people don't listen. If you talk how we solved a huge state of sites or how we solved some problem with traffic, something that is painful in a specific industry, people are going to start to listen. So go to those events, but with a different hat, right? With the hat of an architect, trying to solve problems for those customers. Make them listen. Not forcing them, but making the conversation actually interesting for them. Something that I'm hopeful that will start happening is that we will stop actually fighting in between the companies in our ecosystem, because when the pie is this size and it's getting smaller, it's normal that we start fighting each other, right? And I don't know if you have read that book, Blue Ocean and Red Ocean. We are living a red ocean at the moment. And that red ocean is just a lot of sharks with very little fish, right? We need to find the blue ocean where there are not many sharks and there are a lot of fish. Let me give you an example of, because this is not just theory, it's some things that we've been doing. Anyone knows Web Summit? Yep, one hand, good, nice. I would say 30% of people know Web Summit. This is a huge event. If you've never been there, it's surrealistic. It's like 70,000 people. I was there in 2024, and just to walk from the beginning to where the event started to the end, it could take you 10 minutes walking, right? At a normal pace. There were like nearly 2,000 investors, nearly 1,000 speakers. So you can imagine the size of this, right? We had government delegations from 82 countries, and the numbers are just increasing and increasing. If you look at the trends, it's like 74 increase from 2025 in investors. We have 40% in startups that were women-founded. The impact of this is 700 million. And obviously, we are talking a lot about AI as well. And the focus was AI, semiconductor, geopolitics, in general, the creator economy were top themes. And we did something back when I was working at the Drupal Association. And we did this. We created a really beautiful booth, which you can see at the left. And we had some companies, you can see the companies up there, like FW, Phase 2, Akia, 1X Internet. And that's exactly what I was talking before. We can share resources. We don't have to go there, because actually this was very expensive. I'm not saying that this is an example of something that we should be going, because probably this was too big for us, right? We were a small fish in a huge ocean. But actually, it was a good branding exercise. And very humbling as well, because while we were there and we were talking to people, we had some comments that, I don't know how to take them, but some of the comments were like, hey, you're still alive, Drupal. Yeah, it's not the first time I hear that, but it makes you think a lot, right? And if you think about doing that more often, we will start having more of those comments. You are still alive. And the more and more we do it, people will realize that, yes, we are alive. And the technology that we have is amazing. So they will start thinking more about us and less about where we are or not. Another example, I don't know if Dominic is around, but everyone, well, you have probably seen the keynotes from Dries. Dominic has been doing a huge push to raise funds for the Drupal AI initiative. We did something in the Future of Software Technologies. That was something that it's a conference that was happening in France in December, if I remember correctly. And the idea is that we co-located our own event in there. So we had several thousand people on that conference. They gave us some space. We offered some cheap tickets. And we had actually nearly 200 people. And because it wasn't, obviously it's a Drupal AI inside a big summit, we had a lot of Drupal people, but we actually had a lot of people from the main event looking at the schedule and checking, oh, Drupal AI, what is this about? They have never heard about Drupal. They came to an event, and I'm talking big companies, big enterprise companies. But they don't care, even if it's a small company. It's good branding that we are doing. So if you are interested in this or joining the Drupal AI initiative, talk to Dominic, who is here. And we have more of this happening. We have something happening in New York in a few, I think next month or in June. We have the London Tech Week that happened at the beginning of the year. Again, huge success. AI event where we had a lot of people coming to the Drupal booth. We are going to have some summits. Emma, I think you're here, organizing the higher ed. We will have Drupal AI. That's kind of the things that we need to do. We need to stop talking so much about Drupal and more about the solutions that we have for the company. I don't know if the summits will solve this. We have to try, for sure. Again, talk to Dominic about the Drupal AI. And more things that we can do. Have you heard about Evolve Drupal? Yeah? Evolve Drupal is something that Susan and they started in Canada. And they actually have rebranded this as Evolve Digital, just because of this concept. If you keep talking about Drupal, it doesn't attract that much attention. But suddenly you start talking about AI, and people look at you, or Evolve Digital, right? And they have managed to be extremely successful at creating an event where we don't have Drupal developers. I don't have anything against Drupal developers. I'm a Drupal developer myself. But the point is we need to attract people from outside our bubble, right? We are doing a lot of that, again, with our partners. So I don't want to make this a speech about Pantheon, but if you have any interest about that, if you have an event in your local area where you think you can attract some local interest from customers, come talk to me or come to our booth, right? Because we are happy to pay part of the cost for this to go together. The Drupal Association, we started doing the Web Summit, but we actually don't have more resources to work on this. However, we have a huge list of events that Ryan and the rest of the marketing team have created that we are happy to share, and where you can actually go to that event, maybe with some partner, and talk about Drupal. And again, the Drupal AI, the AI Summit in New York, the London Tech Week, and the Summit in Paris. So more ideas. Events. I was talking about DrupalCon. One of the things that we were discussing as well at the board is, without changing too much in DrupalCon, we could actually do some things. Oh, I only have 5 minutes. I have a lot more slides, so I'm going to go a lot faster. One thing that we've been discussing is co-locate DrupalCon next to another event. And now what we need to decide is, should this be a tech event? Imagine that you go to Symfony, which is very popular now, and they have thousands of developers, and you co-locate your event next to them. You're attracting a lot of junior developers, which is good. We solve one of the problems, right? Which is attracting that cantera of new devs. Customers looking for solutions are not going to be there necessarily. So maybe the other idea is go to a non-tech event, right? But that's a conversation that we are having at the moment. And maybe DrupalCon North America in 2027 is going to follow that concept. We kind of ran out of time to do it in 2026. Booth by email, or not email, booth by mail, actually. It will be difficult by email. So if you have one of those events that you want to go and you want to represent Drupal, the Drupal Association and your company, This is starting in North America, but if there is interest in doing it in Europe, we can start actually doing it here, which is like the Drupal Association is going to send you everything that you need to build a booth, right? And you can go there with your Drupal brand and your company brand and represent Drupal at those events, get some customers at the same time that you are growing the market. I've been asked, or I've been getting questions in terms of, hey, Burkina Faso, for example, if you have some thoughts on how you can help some Drupal camps, Burkina Faso is looking for help. But actually, it's not that easy, right? We need to find a way to justify for sponsors to pay for those events. Again, industry summits, one thing that we used to do at Drupal Camp England, or they used to do because I was not in the organization, and they do as well at the Drupal Camp Spain, is the business day. Right? The day before the Drupal Camp used to start, we will get together for half a day and talk about business, not talk technologies. It used to be quite successful at Drupal Camp England and at Drupal Camp Spain as well. Drupal University. Mike, are you here? If someone has some interest on organizing the Drupal in a day or something on the local event, talk to Mike. This picture is from Costa Rica, actually. Carlos Ospina and Drupal Viking, Mike Canelo. This was hugely successful. I think it was like 50 people in a room. If you think 50 people, it's 50 new junior devs, right? If we repeat that pattern across as many times and places as we can, we are going to start solving the problem of getting new developers. Carlos Ospina has been talking as well about the Drupal certification. This is something that other technologies, Sitecore, Adobe, they use as a branding machinery, right? Because a certification helps you to talk about your brand. At the moment, we have an ACE certification, which is kind of very limited, and we don't have other companies that could contribute, like Amasi, like Platform, like Pantheon itself. I think we need a more wide industry recognized certification where we can all, again, come together, pay for the cost. The Drupal Association don't have the resources at the moment to do this, but we can actually do that. So talk to Carlos Ospina or talk to me if you are interested in this. And I'm going to go super fast, but again, we are doing a lot of things. London Tech Week, Drupal AI Summit. Paul Johnson is desperate we need more Paul Johnsons because he's doing a lot of work. So if you have some thoughts or you just want to contribute in something that is not code, just please talk to him or talk to Dominic as well around the Drupal AI or the marketing initiative. And something that I'm finding and I'm finishing is that this is actually not a problem just for us. I've been talking to a lot of WordPress people. I'm going to contribute in a podcast the next month, talking actually about the open source bubble, not the Drupal bubble. So yeah, I think we can join efforts not just in between us, but also in between other communities. So that's kind of something that I have in my to-do list. I'm going to start research a little bit. How are the other projects facing this problem? Or if they are, I don't think Symfony, for example, is having this problem. And just to finish, I want to thank Pantheon for supporting me, sending me to all these camps, including Dev Days, and help me to send this message. We have a unified platform for Drupal, WordPress, and Next.js. If you're interested, we have a booth. You have probably seen it next to the cafe. And I'm going to finish with a phrase from Tiffany Farris, who is a colleague at the board. And I asked her permission to paraphrase her. Clients will not come to us. We must go to where they are. So, thank you. Any questions? Yeah, Frederick was telling me, Enterprise Drupal AI Summit. And there is an URL, Enterprise Drupal EU. Thanks, Frederick. Nice.
Hi. I have a question regarding the clients and the mentality for exposing Drupal more to the public.
Yep.
Like, is there a thought joining or like in purpose joining other conferences like PHP or React or JavaScript conferences with basic examples of how Drupal can be used to leverage or optimize the project or the working on do with the rest of the technologies.
Yeah, that's a great question. And it's kind of, I didn't mention that, but yeah, actually that's a good point. I'm talking about joining conferences to talk, or actually not to talk to a sponsor or have a presence to talk to other people, but actually a cheaper way to do that is when you are thinking about doing call for papers, don't just think about DrupalCons or DrupalCamps. We can go to React conferences. We can go to Symfony conferences. We can go to healthcare conferences if your use case makes sense and you are going to be in front of a lot of doctors and you're going to tell them, hey, I had a doctor and I fixed this problem for him and this is going to help you. And you are promoting, you know what? You're promoting Drupal, but you're promoting mostly your brand. So you're going to get some customers there. And if you don't get, the point is not the customer that you're going to get, hopefully you will, but you are actually talking to a lot of people about Drupal at the end. Again, don't talk about Drupal, talk about the solution. They will hear about Drupal. But yeah, good question.
So I have a question about your attendance statistics.
Where are you? Yeah.
Here. So obviously I pay a lot of attention. Context, I'm XJM, I'm one of the release managers for Core. And the DrupalCon attendance statistics are something we pay a lot of attention to for core development, for the mentoring program. But something that I've noticed, and I don't really think any of these sessions have called out yet, is that obviously the changes in the industry are a big factor in the declining conference attendances for our specialized conferences. But I haven't ever really seen anyone compare statistics for conference attendances for tech overall. My perception was that the biggest thing was the pandemic, actually. People stopped going to in-person conferences as a whole, and I don't think that's Drupal specific. So something, I guess, a suggestion maybe for the next time you give this talk would be, it'd be interesting to compare our attendance statistics to Symfony's conferences, other similar projects that have their own specific conference, and also compare that to the broader tech conferences, see if those attendances are growing, are flat, are declining, et cetera.
Yeah, that's a good point as well. So you mean, like since COVID, I think people got used to do less face-to-face, right? And we thought, because it was a huge problem for DrupalCon when we were in the middle of DrupalCon, right? And we had a crisis, and the community rallied around that. But after that, numbers never got back to, you're totally right. So it will be interesting to see as well the other communities and see if they kind of recovered from those numbers. But actually you see that, probably the COVID crisis was kind of the moment, the key moment, but numbers were declining before, that's for sure. Thanks, yes. They are going up. Yeah, that is amazing. We've been having some talks with Yorgos and the rest of the organizations for a few months, and they were expecting less numbers, less than around maybe 200. And it is great that when we arrived here, it's like, we are close to 300. That's amazing. Yeah. Any more questions?
We're out of time. It's time for food now. Thank you very much.
Thank you.